Welcome to the Footy Philosophy Podcast. I'm here again with my man Kev. We're here. We're gonna save the UCL for next week, because it was boring. But I'm here again with my man Kev to talk some football. How we doing today, Kev?
We're doing good for a Monday, that is. How are you?
It is Monday. Long weeks ahead, but couldn't complain. The time switch threw me off, which Europe hasn't time switched yet, so all the game times were thrown off.
Mm.
Which is fine, but how do you feel about daylight savings? You pro or against? I'm very against it. To me, just get rid of it. It's stupid.
For the farmers, you got to do it, but
They're talking about canceling it for good, like they
I
just said.
know you think about all the hours. I don't know, like 50, 100 years in the future, it'll start to look weird, but I don't know, man. I thought about it today when I was sitting in my car. It's like it's 7 o'clock, 7:30 now, and the sun hasn't gone down, and we just switched it just like that. Like time's fake, but
Yeah, it is. It's yeah, exactly. It's just a construct.
yeah,
But we're not a. I mean, I'd be down to do a podcast about that, but that's not what we're here for today. We're here for some football. We didn't really have many interesting games, but I was about to say Litty City Liverpool matchup. Honestly, let's just get started right there because it was the talking point of the day. Um,
yeah.
I did watch this game. Um, I know you might have been busy, but I'm sure you had an eye on it the whole time. Any thoughts directly and from just full-time whistle?
I was really busy during it. We had some things going on at work, as you know. But yeah, I was trying to follow along the best that I could, and I was surprised to see as I was watching, just the stats kind of, accumulate. I was really surprised to see Liverpool, you know, win the possession battle, win the XG battle. Granted, they were at home, but it looked pretty convincing. And then, you go watch the tape, and me personally, I feel like Liverpool were the better team. I really think they could have gotten the win or should
I think
have.
they should have won. I do think a draw was a fair result though, as well. Like I think both teams had their chances and they both just kind of pulled their punches. Um,
Yeah,
they didn't strike the other with fear. They kind of played it safe, if you know what I mean. Like they looked for the earlier shot, or the earlier pass. And I thought Liverpool was actually cutting them
they
with the
were.
passing. It
They
was
really
pretty
were.
brutal.
I haven't seen a City team pulled apart like that in a while. There's a few times where Darwin's offside. The one specifically where he
Oof.
ended up cutting it back to Diaz for a goal. He didn't even need to, start his run that fast. That could have been two for Liverpool. And Diaz also had a through ball from Salah where he kind of fluffed his lines. I really thought Liverpool had, yeah, he did not have his finishing boots on. He was in great positions, but yeah, not clinical, clearly. Ruben Diaz did not start in this game, which was one of my biggest kind of question marks about all of it. I think he had a knock. I don't think he was 100%. He was on the bench. But this was absolutely crucial for how City wanted to set up because Akanji and Stones were the center back partnership. Um, and it didn't allow for Pep to really, build that structure that he normally looks to with Rodri and Stones and a double pivot. No, yeah, I was fishing around in some Instagram comments, and there were some City fans that were saying, Diaz hasn't been in the greatest form this season. They weren't upset about it, but I think I don't know if you look at the average position, Stones was not able to push up uh, nearly as much as he normally likes to, and it was
I
just
don't
really
think City
detrimental.
retained the ball that well either, which was problematic. Like
Yeah, they didn't.
I think Rodri had one of the worst games I've seen from him in a long time, and I think KDB really did not play well either. Honestly, I don't really think a single City I walked away from that game and thought City a single player from City really played well. Not anyone comes to my mind.
Yeah, Ederson had a few good saves, but
I
obviously
agree.
gave away the
But he gave
penalty.
away the pen. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was actually someone I would have mentioned if he didn't. give away the penalty.
Yeah, it wasn't all his fault. It was a bad pass back from Ake. But yeah, again, I really think that could have been a red card even. Um, but
It was bad. He didn't even try.
I
Like he
know.
just clipped him because he knew he was got.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and back to the Darwin Luis Diaz talk is they're both so dynamic, but like they clearly lack the most important aspect, which is like consistent finishing, both of them, because they both get into really good positions. And you can see the talent for someone, especially like someone like Darwin. You know, he gets so many chances, he's gonna finish them, but like, dude, if he could become a clean finisher, it would be night and day for him as a player. Like he would honestly probably be the best nine in the world, maybe. Like he's very dynamic. Let's just put it that way.
yeah. I mean, his
If he finished,
ceiling,
he does so much well. That's what I'm trying to get at. He does so much well. Except for finishing.
he really does. His ceiling is upper echelon. Yeah, I don't think he could reach much higher. He'd be a 35, 40 goal all comps kind of guy. Um,
Agreed.
but yeah, he earned the penalty. There was a few times he probably should have put the ball in the back of the net.
Agreed.
All things considered, I thought he had an all right game. Soboslai had a golden chance too. He put his header just wide. I really thought Liverpool had more quality chances than City. Besides Doku hitting the post towards the back end of the
Agree.
game. Um, there's also the weird Foden incident where Liverpool's goalie Kelleher kind of comes to claim it, and then he punches the
Punches it.
ball into Foden's head or something, and
Yeah,
it just
and then hits crossbar. It was
yeah,
insane. Yeah, I was like, imagine conceding a goal like that. I would lose my shit. I'd be like, that is fucking so unlucky.
for
But it
sure.
was a great ball by Ake. That was
Yeah.
a fantastic ball. Um,
After Liverpool equalized, it was all Liverpool. If you look in the notes, I've kind of got the XG, plot line. After the pen, Liverpool are creating a Liverpool Man City kind of flat line. Um, it was a fun game, and I think I'm trying to be, positive. Football is the only sport where the game is 1-1 at the end, and you can say you had fun watching it. And as well, if this is the end of Klopp v Pep, if we never see it again, I think it was a good end to the story, their rivalry over the last few years. It was an
are,
entertaining
are they
game,
both alive in the FA Cup?
probably.
So, I would actually love to maybe see them go one more time, and this time for like some sort of marbles, really, because there wasn't really like there was a lot at play and nothing at play today or yesterday. You know what I mean? Like 3 points were at play, but that's why both teams kind of played it a little bit safer, I think. Like both teams were comfortable with the 1 point. Um,
Yeah,
Liverpool were obviously pushing more, but City were very comfortable with the 1 point. I was texting my Liverpool friend and I was like, you guys were really unlucky in my opinion. I thought you guys should have won. And he was like, yeah, we just got to win out. And I'm just like, dude, you're not winning out. Like, you know how hard it is to win out in football? Like, it's just, all it takes is one bad bounce, one penalty. Your scoring boots aren't on, and Liverpool without their scoring boots. Oh my, that's not like an obscene thing to see. Like, it fucking happens.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. The title race is wide open.
it
Wide
is.
open.
And both teams drawing kind of helped out Arsenal, who remain top. Um,
But it
yeah,
means nothing. You and I both know it means nothing. That
yeah,
right now it is anybody's league, and honestly, I think everyone would still put Arsenal last of the top three to win, except
yeah.
for Arsenal fans.
I was reading some Opta article, and it gave Arsenal an 18% chance to win. City was
Yeah,
like,
the highest at like
yeah,
40.
yeah, City was ahead of Liverpool by like 8 to 10 percentage points.
That's what
Which I
everyone seems to putting them at. Even the advanced metrics people, that's what they're putting them at. They're still expect the metrics still say City are going to win the league.
yeah, and I guess I'd have to be inclined to agree, but City, this was not a good game for them. Holland
No,
ghosted in
they're
a
not
big
good
game again.
anymore.
Holland ghosted in a big game again. He
He had a
was.
good chance. He had one good chance. I remember on VVD. He spun VVD and even got onto his
Oh
strong
yeah,
foot. VVD was really poor defending, but Holland had just run out of the tank and he had no help and he had like three guys around him. He's like, if I keep driving, I'm not gonna like. This is my one chance to shoot. I gotta hit it. And I don't think he made the wrong decision, but I think if he had a little bit more in the tank, he could have probably pushed the limit a little bit more. And that's what I kind of meant by playing it safe. Like it's instances like that where like I don't know, take on VVD. You know what I mean? Like you're Erling fucking Holland. Like the closer you get to net, the more likely you are to score. Even if he does run you off, you're left-footed, striking far post, and I'm pretty sure Ortega was in net at that point, which we should probably talk about. Ederson being injured. Does that affect the title race for you at all?
without a doubt.
He's missing the Arsenal match. They already said he's missing it.
Yeah, City don't have the greatest backup goalie, and for
Not many teams do, though. Like
yeah,
like
for sure, for sure.
it's not a it's not a great job to have. Okay, like that. Like no one wakes up one day and is like, you know what? I don't want to play any games. I'm a professional. I'm good. Some cup
Yeah,
games here and there, I'm happy for those. You know what I mean? So like a lot of times it's a youth product or it's someone that maybe is at the end of their career and, ready to win some trophies maybe and like they're like, yeah, I'll be a backup at Man City. That sounds like a good time, Like um so Ortega.
yeah, without a doubt, it changes what we're seeing because City have looked vulnerable, and there's been instances where they're kind of caught out this season, where there's only one or two guys back there, and like this Liverpool game, they've still got Spurs and Arsenal, two teams that can really really hurt them, especially in transition if need be. So yeah,
The Spurs game, it's the one I've circled. And I sent you that. Someone said the same thing. Someone on Twitter tweeted and was like, "Some Tottenham is beating one of these three teams," and I couldn't agree more. And we've actually had multiple chances to transition. We had a chance to transition to Arsenal. We now have a transition to Tottenham, but there's still so much to talk about in this game, and something we didn't even get to. 90 plus 8, McAllister cleat to the chest. I mean, in my opinion, maybe you disagree. I don't know how you don't call that, especially with VAR, and it went to VAR, and I've never seen it like if we moved. Let's just say, Kev, let's move that foul 5 feet outside the box to the top of the box. 5 feet. That's it. That's like 2 yards. It's a foul and it's a free kick, and there's zero doubt about it.
yeah, I agree with you. Klopp says, Klopp says, why would the guy in the VAR studio think, that's not clear and obvious? What must you have had for lunch? And I agree with Klopp. It's, obviously he's going to defend his team when there's a moment like that, but I still
Yeah,
agree with him. Like, it's
you
kind of
have to.
crazy.
If you don't defend your team, you're just you kind of have to because you feel hard done by it, and that could be the league title, bro.
Yeah. Once more, a very fractional moment could make Liverpool not win.
Yeah, if
It doesn't
City
matter.
win by like 1 point, or if Arsenal win by 1 point, or if Liverpool lose by 1 point, like
Yeah. It doesn't matter about the intention. It just matters what happened in this situation. And it's a peno for me.
it was dangerous play too. Like it wasn't like it could have been dangerous play. It could have been a foul. It was a couple things. Like it wasn't just one random thing.
Yeah. I just, it is so funny to think about how, like you said, if it's not in the box, what things get called. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of
That's what
stinks.
throws me off. That's what throws me off. And moving to the, do you have anything else on this? I'm just gonna use this transition to Arsenal.
Yeah,
Um,
no, no, no.
you
I'm
good?
good.
All right. So Arsenal pick up all 3 points at Brentford, but it wasn't easy. And this is another one of those games where I'm watching these fouls in the box, and I'm just like, bro, what are you playing? What are we watching? Rugby?
Yeah.
And I'm not an Arsenal supporter. I don't support any EPL teams. If it is anyone, it's usually Spurs. Um, and I'm just watching guys get tackled in the box, and like it's like, oh, it's not a pen because the ball's not close enough to him. But again, if we move it 10 yards outside the box and a guy's getting bear hugged and tackled on a free kick, like you're calling it. Like so, it's just I just want some consistency among. It's like in the box, a lot more goes because ramifications are much higher. The punishment is much higher. But like, I don't really care about how much higher the punishment is. I really think that we need to have better consistency on calls inside and outside the box. It's just because it's inside the box doesn't make it not a foul.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm a huge proponent of getting as much AI or computers into refereeing as we can. Actually, um, I know this doesn't really make sense to bring up here, but I just think removing the human element out of it, programming something to say, here are the rules, and something that sees it in black and white, as opposed to, if we slow it down, it doesn't look as bad. I don't know. Uh, We need some
Problem is, it's
better.
not black and white. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these calls aren't black and white. Like if we let's just, I'm just throwing this out there, just playing devil's advocate here. The Odegaard handball against Liverpool that doesn't get called, to me, that's never a pen. Like like he's falling to the ground. He's using the hand as leverage. Like because you don't, like we're not. You can't just cut your arms off your body, right? Like fair. And he like touches his hand when he's going down. Like the dude's like what? You just want him to fall over and just fucking, you know what I mean? Like it's just not realistic. Um, so that's why it'd be hard for it to be so black and white because there are circumstances where we need consistency, like, and we need to know that. I don't know. Do you think that's a handball or not a handball?
No, in that context, it's not, of course. But and I say the word context. I just do think that something automated, something not human, could make it more consistent. I don't know.
I think offside should be. I think we need to change the offsides rule just a little bit. Like, dude, if your toe is over the line, like they're like offsides, and I'm like, dude, like, are you zooming in on the foot like that passed the ball because it needs to be at the same exact time? You know what I mean? Like, to me, there should be some leeway here, in those kind of calls. But you could definitely, I do think AI should be the normal for linesmen,
Yeah,
and we got to be quicker with VAR anyway.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
honestly, at this point, and I don't know how you feel. I'd like VAR. I like the idea of VAR. I'm just not sure if VAR is correct to implement. Um, and I've had ideas of what needs to happen. I don't think I think we should stop advertising who the referees are in the VAR room. I don't think that should be consistent. I don't even know if it should be referees in the VAR room. And
What,
I
what,
mean that in the sense of like it should be maybe an ex-referee from a different country who has no ties to anyone in there. But also, like, if you and I, referees are not masters of the rule book. We know that. But there are referee experts. And in that sense, wouldn't it be better to have a person that understands the rules and doesn't look into and looks at it in the black and white way
yeah,
of no, that's the right call or no, that's not the right call. Instead of having referees that all hang out and referee together. You know what I mean? Get kind of a and don't put a name to it. Just make it a person. But the problem is the person can be corrupted.
yeah.
But
Well,
maybe you put a nerd in there who doesn't really care about the sport, and you just pay him the money to,
yeah,
like like here's your job. You sit all day, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you watch all the games going on at once, and you make the decision
yeah,
if it needs to be made. Like you tell the ref, like, hey, you should probably take a look at this,
yeah,
and then the ref can take a look at it. Or this guy, or we can do it to the fact that this guy has the ultimate say in everything. We just need to make like because I'm tired of it being like, oh yeah, the head ref has the ultimate say, but then you hear the VAR recordings like, yeah, you're wrong. You need to change this. And like that you can't do it that way because you can't have it both ways. It can't be, oh, the VAR is there to help, and then the VAR is making the calls. I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know how much. Well, I know you don't watch a whole lot of American football, but like when there's a close call and they're replaying it, a lot of networks will bring in like a rules analyst. It'll be like Dean Blandino for Fox, and
Yeah,
he'll
they
just
do it
be
in
saying,
UCL too. I don't know if you've
"Yeah,
ever seen they bring on that girl for
nah,
Paramount. Yeah, they have a rules expert that comes on and
okay,
like you'll have Carragher and Thierry Henry arguing about it. To me, she'd actually be great. Um, you have Carragher and Thierry Henry arguing about whether it's right or wrong, and then she comes in and she's like, "Well, by the rule book, it's technically the right call," and then she explains it, and like sometimes I'm like, "Oh, you fucking nerd," but like we need someone like that in the VAR
Yeah,
room, someone that isn't around the players. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys have biases towards players, whether they like it or not. Like like if you ref Real Madrid, you can be like, dude, that Vinicius guy is a fucking like, he's always chirping at me. Like I can't like, I'm not gonna give him any help. Or you could be like, you know, that Vinicius guy's a really stand-up guy. I like him. He's probably a terrible example to use because of all the racist abuse he goes through. But he's someone that comes to my mind because he's a very polarizing figure. People either love him or hate him. And I'm assuming that stays among refs. So I'm sure there are refs that are like, oh, you know what? I really like Vinicius Jr. Um, and this is something Casemiro did a lot when he was with Madrid, and he talked about it a lot. And this is why Casemiro never got cards. He was boys with all the refs. He made it his mission to be boys with the refs so he could be like, "God, dude, I'm sorry. You got me." And then they'd be like, "Hey, as your warning," instead of being like quick to it because they like him.
makes sense. Well, in terms of the actual Arsenal game,
Arsenal game.
yeah, Um, I didn't get to see this one, but just taking a look at some stuff, Arsenal have fully moved to a double pivot. It is a real thing now. We mentioned it, but it is definitely a thing. Rice is on the left and Jorginho is on the right. I like it. It's a smart move from Arteta. I kind of think it's in ways similar to what Pep did with the Stones pushing into midfield, just looking for a way to be more secure. And they're going back to the elbow back four, which we saw in the early days of the Arteta era at Arsenal. Um, when Zinchenko's healthy, how does it work? I think it's fine. Zinchenko can play in, the elbow left back sort of role. Um, he might look to tuck into midfield a bit more, but yeah, Arsenal, not an easy win for them. Brentford are, you know, they're a good team. It doesn't look like it on paper, but they always challenge the best of the best. I don't. I have no further statements.
Yeah, and all I want to add about Arsenal is that, they're league competitors. They deserve to be league competitors, and it's because of games like this where they get a win. And I believe it's Kai Havertz broke his record for most goals in a Premier League season. I saw that somewhere. Don't know how true it is, so don't quote me on it, but that's some information I had come across. Moving on, so I don't really think it's much of a talking point. United beat Everton 2-0. A couple draws in there between Luton and Palace. Bournemouth and Sheffield Wolves luckily get a win on paper after they get dominated by XG. I'm guessing in an attacking momentum as well.
No,
And now go.
no, this is just one where not even XG tells the full story. Because if you look at the momentum bar, it's really really even up until Wolves
Mm,
go up 2-0. And one of the goals was an own goal. And then
good.
after they're up 2-0, Wolves sit back, try and lock down the game, and that's where Fulham generate all that XG, probably 2 out of the 2.7. So that's more of just like the game state type of situation, which I just thought it's worth mentioning
Yeah,
in the case of
all the
this
power to
game.
mentioning stuff and
Yeah.
stuff that are relevant. No, seriously. 'Cause I didn't watch that game, so I don't really have any information on it. I was watching a La Liga game, um, or maybe it was Bundesliga. No, I was watching Leipzig. Uh, West Ham also tied Burnley 2-2. Brighton get 3 points against Forest. Finally, maybe coming back to form. Lots of draws on the weekend. Um, and then moving on to something interesting, Villa get absolutely thrashed by Spurs.
Yes. It was a really, really dull first half. I think there was one shot on target between both teams in the first half, maximum two. I know Spurs had zero, so there's that. Both teams are kind of feeling each other out. I thought Tottenham looked composed for being um, away from home in a tough environment. Uh, Emery decided to go with the back three for this game, which I think is the reason it all ultimately ended up costing them. They really had nothing going forward. It was a long ball to Watkins looking to get in behind, which it did happen a few times. but Romero and Van de Ven were locking it down. Van de Ven did go down in this game. Um, I don't think the injury is that bad, so I'm not that concerned. But that was a little nerve wracking. But then we go up 2-0, and I was like, okay, we're fine without Van de Ven for now. Um, but the point is, with Emery going with the back three, all it really meant was Spurs had to take one or two chances because Villa were not, not committing as many men forward to the attack. Simple math. And Spurs get on a breakaway. Sarr is just pushing down the right, which his ability to carry the ball is amazing. I don't think he gets enough recognition. He is in the midfield team of the season for the Premier League for me. Not even trying to be biased. It's just the facts. Um, but yeah, he had a great cross to match his great run. Madison slotted it in 1-0. And then the high press generated the second goal. Kulusevski picked Tielemans' pocket, and I want to say it was Brennan Johnson that scored the goal. I forget
Mhm.
because we had 4 different goal scorers. But yeah, we're up 2-0. Happy days.
That sounds right
And
to me.
yeah, McGinn then absolutely train wrecked Destiny Udogie, who had a great game, by the way. He, going forward, is immaculate. He is one of the best inside forwards in the Prem, but he's a left back. Um, but yeah, McGinn, horror tackle on Udogie, VR down to 10, and the game's kind of over from there. At least that's the way feeling it was.
Hmm.
And there's no energy in the stadium left at that point. Emery makes some subs, but you're down to 10 men. It's not really going to happen at that point.
Yeah.
And
Or it's going to be tough if it is going to happen.
yeah, and Son and Werner finished the job in stoppage time. That's 2 goals and 2 for Werner. If he starts scoring, man, watch out. And yeah, Villa only 1 shot on target in the whole game. And now Opta statistics have Spurs as the most favorite team to finish in 4th place, which I would consider a dub. I know that you have some hard feelings about celebrating 4th place, but
I do, yeah.
for me, this is a dub for the season. I think we
I
will.
think it is a dub for the season for you guys, though. Like, I think it's something better, like,
Yeah,
overall for you guys. Even though I've been on record and I will continue to say this, I think Europa or Conference League is probably better for Spurs at the point where they're in. I just don't think a deep run in the UCL right now is in the cards, and I think winning a trophy potentially or a deep running Conference League and Europa League would actually be very good for the morale of the team and keeping the team happy and keeping the team clicking, and competing in all competitions. And that's how you build the depth, is by going into competitions like that and going deep. Guys will want to be there because guys will be happy because potential to win trophies is the most important thing for a lot of guys.
yeah. No, and I agree with all that. I just, from the
You
standpoint,
love the UCL, man. You love it.
yeah,
Like,
I want my
I
team to
get
be
it.
in the UCL, and from the standpoint of, bringing in the best talent that we can possibly get, that's where we need to be. Um, and I do think that we have been the 4th best team in the Prem all season. So in terms of just like the table matching reality, that I enjoy that.
Hmm.
I would be hurt if we were to finish 7th or 6th. Because I don't
Well,
think
and no, go. Sorry, I was just gonna say something else.
no, I was just gonna say I don't think that's really representative of Spurs season. And I know I'm a Spurs fan, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, and I was just gonna say, in playing UC, actually the best route always is playing UCL for a team like Spurs. And unfortunately, you get more money if you go to the round of 16, but if you go to Europa, you have a better chance of winning, I would say. And
Yeah,
that's just the honest truth of Spurs level right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, I think it's better like that. You know what I mean? Like, I personally, like, I know UCL is great, and this is, me from my ivory tower of making the round of 16 30 longer than my life. 30 some years in a row, we've made the round of 16. Okay, so it's really easy from my ivory tower, but I think a deep run is better for morale than making the round of 16, in my opinion. I know monetary, it's better to the round of 16, but if I'm looking to build something, I'd much rather a slow, steady build. Personally, I think it's easier to keep your guys too. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know, Arsenal did it right. Arsenal really did it right. Um,
yeah. And, who knows? Maybe we don't qualify for round of 16. We drop into Europa and win it. That would be ideal, perhaps.
I agree that would be ideal actually, and I think you have the squad too because you expect Liverpool, and if Xabi Alonso stays, you expect Leverkusen actually to that's in my opinion that's why if I was Xabi Alonso I would stay is I would be like you know what like we're really good but let's see how good we actually really are. You know what I mean? Like let's see if we can actually build something here. Like imagine they become like the next two in Germany for the next couple of years. And Xabi Alonso's so young, dude. That's what, if I was him, that's what I would do. Because we see someone like not Xavi, who got his dream job right away, and now he's ready to retire. And it's like, damn, that burnout was quick.
No, yeah, I see it, man. Tifo, not Tifo actually. The Athletic made a really good video about Xabi's decisions he's gonna have to make, um, and staying at Leverkusen was one of them, and it's a great option. It really is. I don't know how long the window stays open for Leverkusen, but the squad's young. Um, there's a few aging guys that are important, like Xhaka, but yeah, the squad's young. Xabi's young himself.
Well, and if the boys are happy, you might as well keep them together. You know what I mean? Like Florian Wirtz said he's willing to stay another year. You expect the big dogs to start knocking for him this year because he
Yeah,
proved that the torn ACL was nothing.
yeah.
Um,
The only concern you would have though is like if you have a Man City or a Real Madrid come into Frimpong and say, "Hey, how does a
yeah,
triple your salary sound?" And then same thing
or
with
Bayern.
yeah, same thing with all those guys. Leverkusen don't necessarily have the means to pay those guys what their ultimate ceilings are. Um, but if Xabi sticks around and they get UCL 2 3 years, maybe we're talking something slightly different.
But
Um,
I also think for the development of those players, I don't think staying in Leverkusen instead of going to a bigger club and further developing yourself as a player, where you're guaranteed, like let's just say, Frimpong, City, Real Madrid come knocking, Bayern come knocking. You're fighting for a position with Danny Carvajal, who's a legend, Kyle Walker, who's a legend, and then at um, Bayern, it's a lot more simple um, in those kind of terms. But you never know. Um, but
yeah, maybe the next manager doesn't want to play an attacking right back. All
yeah,
that sort of thing.
is Pavard sold or on loan? I want to say he was sold,
Yeah,
but
he
he's
was sold.
also okay. I was gonna say if he ended up coming back, if he was on loan, because I know they were pushing him out really quick, and it's just easier to get him out really quick when they're on loan. But for someone like Benjamin Pavard, who is clearly, um, I would say elite, right below world class, especially in a back three, right center back, I think Ibser is a fantastic move for someone like that. Um, but that's not really relevant to this. We kind of got a little off topic, but that's okay. Any other EPL talk you want to touch on? Chelsea did beat Newcastle. Do you want to talk about that at all? But to me, it's a mid-table clash between two teams that you really don't know what the fuck you're gonna get.
Yeah, no, I put mid table in the
I saw.
note for the lulls, but it's also true. Um,
It is true.
yeah, this was really the Cole Palmer show, though. If Cole Palmer
Again,
was not on the pitch, Chelsea would not have won. He should have had 2 goals, but the one shot kind of clipped Jackson on the way through, and Jackson ended up getting the goal. But he should have had 2 goals and assists, which means there's all of Chelsea's goal contributions. Um, Newcastle didn't generate a whole lot, but yeah, it was a Cole Palmer show. And once again, I mean, he's really good. He's really good. But yeah, that's all there really is to be said about
he's
it.
good for Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah. I would take him at
He,
Spurs. Right wing.
no, I'm rolling my eyes on that one. No,
Fair enough, man.
no. I would
Fair
rather
enough.
have Jonas Hoffman.
That's crazy. I disagree, man. I disagree. You gotta watch Palmer, dude. He's great.
I do. I'm just not. I can't. I just watch him and he makes me angry. Like, like the Arthur meme where he's like
Yeah.
clutching his fist. Every time I see Cole Palmer score, my fist gets clutched. I'm like,
I mean,
fuck
he
him
is
again.
cringe. Like he looks a bit weird, and he's got the
I
Jamaican
hate the
vibe.
way he plays, bro. Yeah, I hate the way he plays. It pisses me off. I'm like, how's this guy score goals? I don't fucking know.
I mean, he's
I just see other people that play his position and I'm like they're so much better than him and he just keeps putting up numbers and it's like Bruno, bro. It's like Bruno. Like I'm like, dude, this guy sucks so bad. But like he puts up numbers, so like he's good, but like I don't care that he puts up numbers. I watch him and I'm like, I don't like this player. That's how I feel about Cole Palmer.
fair enough.
That's gonna anger a lot of people actually, because Chelsea fans really like him.
I think
I'm just not a fan.
time will tell.
Time will tell. Yeah, we're seeing that with Rodrigo. But moving on to La Liga, Maria, bro. That's the first win of the season. They sold today.
Yeah.
Up 1-0, 81st minute. They concede. Guess what, Kev? They concede again. Down 1-2 at home. And then they tie. What the what the fuck, dude? There's just the mental breakdown there. Um, Caddies beat Atletico away from the Metropolitano for Atleti. Caddies get their first win since September against one of the better teams in the world. Atleti were the better side, only slightly. And Morata missed a fucking sitter, bro, in the sixth. Are you worried about Atletico or not really? I think their season could be over this week, so
Yeah, no, their season is over now. Well, they're not done against Inter, but
they're not. And it's at the Politano.
they haven't looked good since the Bilbao game and the Copa del Rey. Cadiz now. Signs are kind of worrying. I don't know. I think perhaps what's his face? Veerman, the new signing from January, hasn't really
Hmm.
hit the ground running from them. I mean, he struggles to get into the team, but I think they were looking for, a guy that they can rotate into the midfield
And
comfortably.
they can plug in now. Yeah.
Yeah. For whatever reason, they're going against Pablo Barrios. Was he starting in this game?
I'm gonna go with no since they lost. Just a guess. Just a guess.
Should we fact check
I'll
real
tell
quick?
you right now. I'm gonna fact check myself. I'm fact checking myself.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
no, he did not start.
there you go.
Okay, Saul and Rodrigo de Paul. Hey man, like I said, it's if they lose, I don't know how we see this, but Simeone doesn't. Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but
Well, the
you know,
thing about it is like you look at that team, and besides Griezmann and Samuel Lino, I don't know how they're getting the ball up the pitch. I really don't. Uh, Koke and Sal, like all three of those guys have it in their locker. They haven't been producing this season, and when I say all three of those guys, I mean the usual midfield.
yeah. Oh, Rodrigo de Paul's good too, but it's just not really his game.
Yeah, you don't think of him as a progressive midfielder. At least I don't.
I think I'm just
So
like a box to box.
yeah, I don't. I just don't see how that team is set up to be able to transition, which is what they're supposed to do. If you're gonna have Griezmann drop 30 yards deep, you can't have
Morata's all
Griezmann.
by himself. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't have Griezmann pass the ball to Griezmann. Anyways,
we could try.
you
But no,
could
there's
try.
not really many talking points in La Liga. Real Sociedad do pick up all 3 points despite being down 2-1 at halftime. Much better side. They've fallen to six now. Can you guess how many points they're back on Athletic Club?
Mm, off of fifth,
Yeah,
off of fourth, off of fifth. I'm gonna
off of
guess they're
fifth.
they're at 11,
They're 10 points off.
10. Yeah,
That's really bad for a team that was fighting for Europe like a month ago.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
they've not been able to put the
Jesus.
ball in the back of the net, but
Nope. And they do in this game though.
yeah,
Just another thing here. Villarreal win a 5-goal thriller 3-2 against Betis after being down 2-1 at half. Villarreal get the win thanks to Sorloth, who grabs a goal and an assist, and it seems he's hitting his best form under Marcelino. Some bangers were scored, and then the real talking point though is Chimi Avila getting Alberto Moreno sent off, but then getting himself sent off for dissent.
I did not see that happen, but that's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, like he gets like pushed, he sells it, he gets a second yellow, and then he gets his ear poked by Moreno when he's walking off the field, and he loses his shit, starts rolling around again, and then starts yelling at the ref for not like the linesman. He starts yelling at the linesman for not doing anything, and then he sees a yellow for dissent. So yeah, double yellow, double red card, in and out, just like that. Um, Another boring weekend for Real Madrid, though. Barcelona miss a pen, Gundogan, but then Lamine Yamal hits a beautiful curler, 0.02 xG. Hugo Doro puts Valencia, who scores his 13th goal of the season. Girona finally get the taste of a win back again as they beat Osasuna at home 2-0. Athletic Club smashed Las Palmas 2-0. It was much, much worse than the 2-0 line presents. And Arda Güler scores his first goal for Real Madrid as Real Madrid win 2-0, 4-0 against Celta Vigo against ex-manager Rafa Benitez. Um, so there wasn't many talking points from this. Two own goals, one of them's really Rudiger's goal. But something that happened, I don't know if you saw this. Luka Modric grabs the first rating above a 9.5 on SofaScore since 2015 without recording a goal or an assist. Is that crazy?
No, that is pretty crazy. I kind of want to watch the highlights now and see what was going on, but that is wild.
Yeah, he was really good, and it's kind of crazy how a 38-year-old can just roll back the clock like that. Like, the problem is he's not as consistent with it anymore, which is the issue.
Yeah, but I mean, he still obviously gets himself into the team because of things like this. Since 2015, almost 10 years,
Yeah,
9.7 plus. Fantastic. Fine wine.
you love to see it. You love to see it. And something just to mention is that the boys were so pumped for Goulet's goal. Um, like so happy for him, even Carlo, everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you want to move on to Serie A, and then or I'll do Bundesliga first because it's literally like three sentences. Bundesliga straightforward this weekend. Stuttgart beat Union Berlin 2-0. Mönchengladbach drew Cologne in a six-goal thriller. Leipzig take down Darmstadt. Iron Smoke Mines 8-1. And they're playing their best football since Tuchel took over. I don't want to say under Tuchel because he's not doing jack shit and they're not listening to him. Um, Dortmund win 2-1 and Leverkusen keep their unbeaten streak alive with an easy 2-0 win. And something to mention here, just a small talking point. Leverkusen down 2-0 in the 75th minute in the midweek in Europa League to keep the unbeaten streak alive. They scored in the 71st, and then Patrick Schick gets the tying goal in the 90 injury time.
I was
And
watching, well, I wasn't watching, but I was kind of keeping track while I was at school. And I saw they're down 2-0. I was like, holy shit, it's happening.
yeah,
Obviously, they rotated their squad quite a bit against Karabag. I'm not going to lie, I don't even know where that team's from. Um, but that's a sign of a great team. Show resilience, keep the unbeaten streak alive. That's definitely the closest they've been, which is awesome. And then on the weekend, it's back to normal.
they're in from Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, yeah,
They're a
you
pretty good
don't.
team. They're 23-3. They pretty much right. The team in second is 10-9-7 with a negative 5 goal differential, while they have a plus 46 goal differential. So I just think they run train on everybody in the league.
Yeah, I mean,
It's only a 10-team league, so they must be pretty good.
I've seen that team before, like in
Yeah, me
Europa,
too.
but I never knew where they were from. But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And just last notes here. Serie A. Napoli's good form comes to an end as they drop points to a solid Torino side. Christian Pulisic puts Milan on his back, scores against Empoli as they win 1-0. Sassuolo pick up a huge 3 points against fellow regulation side Frosinone. And we have two. I typed in, we have two all draws between Juve and Atalanta and Fiorentina and Roma, which keeps the top four race interesting. To point out, Bologna did drop points, but they still have a 3 point lead on first as Bologna lose to Inter, a heavily rotated Inter side, by the way. 1-0. Okay, have thoughts on this one?
Well, Bologna, they were holding their own against arguably the best team in the world. Definitely top three, and they couldn't pull it out. They were generating chances, not the highest quality chances, and yeah, sad for my boy Thiago Mata, but he's gonna be on to some greener pastures very very soon.
I hope so. I
And I
really love
really,
that Barcelona job for him because he's not someone that would take the Barcelona job and then be like, all right, my career is over afterwards. Like he'd continue to learn and get better. Some coaches they get Real Madrid, they get Barcelona, they get Bayern, and they're like, okay, I reached the pinnacle, I'm done. Not everyone can take, the Carlo Ancelotti where I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna take the Everton job or the Mourinho's where he's like, I did coach Real Madrid and Inter Milan, but I'll take the Roma job. Like because it's a step down, and some guys can do that. Some guys can't. Xavi is clearly one of those people that can't, but I think Thiago Motta is someone that would be okay taking that step down. So I, I'm I would really like to see him at the Barca job as a not as a Madrid fan, but as a football fan. I think it would really work with them.
yeah, I agree, and it's just one of those things where all these former players become a manager, and who are the best ones? It's the guys that played the six, man. It really is.
Always.
It really is. If you're
Or
if
some
you're
sort of midfielder.
well, I don't think that's the case because Xavi, Gerard, Lampard.
Zidane.
Well, Zidane's a different story. I think Zidane had, not to discredit what happened, the three-peat, but he really just
Say it.
had.
Say it. The greatest team of all time. Say it.
Yeah, he had the greatest team of all time, and he's like, you know what,
He
you
did.
guys, I'm gonna put you out in a 4-3-3. I want you to do like one or two things, but besides that, have fun.
He's very underrated tactically. He like it was like nobody remembers that he played a flat 4-4-2 against PSG at Paris at in Parc des Princes with Asensio and Lucas Vasquez as the two right and left midfielders. Like, he was doing stuff like that and he was playing Kovacic, man marking Messi, like he was doing it wasn't just like, yeah, guys, you guys are great free for all, which is the way a lot of people spin it. And I'm not saying you're spinning it that way because you're not, but you're right in the sense of like I'm gonna tell Luka Modric how to what the like tactically what the fuck to do. I'm not gonna tell Tony Cruz like, hey Tony, I know you can put a fucking ball, a fucking five-size soccer ball or football into a fucking bucket the same size as it, but don't play that long ball for me. Just pass it around. Like you're not gonna tell that. So from that point of view, yes. But he also did more than he gets credit for, I do believe. But
I
he did
just,
have like go among go among go among go all around the pitch. I mean, you're talking one of the greatest defenders of all time, one of the greatest left backs of all time, probably a top 10 right back of all time. Um, one of the better defensive sixes we've seen in a long time, paired with two of the greatest midfielders of all time, with one of the greatest nines of the generation, with arguably the best player of the generation, with Gareth Bale, who is just, I mean, Gareth,
on
he's a
his day,
freak.
he could be the
He
best
was
player
the
in the world.
best player in the world on his day. Yeah, like he
Yes.
was. And not only that, you had Isco coming off the bench, ex Golden Boy winner. I mean, and starting games over Bale. You had James Rodriguez, like it was just you had Mateo Kovacic, who's hasn't really carved out the career that he should have carved out. Um, but he was a great player for that side, and Marco Asensio was wanted by a lot of top clubs at the time. So there was a lot of depth in that team too. It definitely makes it easier. If you gave me all those players, I'm sure I could win a couple games. I'm not saying I win UCLs, but I could definitely win a couple games. I know I could. But would they listen to me? Probably not. Zidane has the aura, which helps.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, which I don't know. All everything that we just mentioned distinguishes him from that class of Xavi, Gerard, Lampard, and obviously we're talking hindsight, but
Because
I
those
just
guys all have the aura too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, like if Lampard's my coach at Chelsea and I grew up a Chelsea fan, and, a lot of those guys in that academy, like, because, they do pass a lot of guys through up into the first team. They're sitting there, or a lot of Englishmen especially. Like Lampard's a fucking legend. Like you're sitting there, like holy shit. Like I watched this guy score bangers for fucking England. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I just
so
yeah.
it holds that weight.
There is a tendency for the best managers that are former players to be sixes. That's
I agree. I do agree. Carlo also was a six, by the way.
There you go. Guardiola's a six for crying out loud. I think we forget to like talk about former players as managers when we forget Guardiola's in that mix. Mourinho, what position did Mourinho play?
I want to say he was a 10, but he didn't really play much. He talks about it all the time. He said he was destined to be a coach.
Fair enough. I mean, wasn't he a hockey coach for a while?
I, dude, he made it as a translator. Like that was his step. He was a translator at Barcelona, and that's how he. It's crazy. The guy who also coached Real Madrid was a translator for United, and these guys get jobs because I don't know how they get the jobs, honestly, but they do. They build the rapport, and um, but Guardiola really wasn't of the same ilk as someone like a Xabi Alonso, or I don't know. I've always said that, but like I think someone like Luka Modric is going to be a fantastic coach if he wants to be, who was never a six. I
Yeah,
think Tony Cruz is someone else. Because they just have the mind, and I do think Xavi could be a good coach if he wasn't so. The difference between Luka Modric and Tony Cruz and Xavi and Iniesta is, especially Xavi. Xavi's always been stubborn. He's always been a little thorn in your side. Um, he's very set in his ways. He's very stubborn. And someone like Luka Modric isn't so stubborn, and someone like Tony Cruz isn't so stubborn. Even someone like Iniesta, probably, if he wanted to be a coach, would probably be a little bit better because he wouldn't be married to the Barcelona mindset. Like, if Luka Modric became a coach, it would be more tactical minded than someone like Xavi that's like, we play this way because we play this way. Mes que un club.
yeah,
Just one more talking point here. Serie A talking about going from 20 teams to 18. I like it. I'm a huge fan of the Bundesliga being 18. You're cutting off what, four extra games, but with how many games we keep adding, those 4 games could be good, man.
yeah. And overall, you would expect that there are going to be better teams in your league because there's less.
Well, and
Here,
that's the reasoning. Go look
yeah,
at the bottom of Serie A. It's not pretty.
yeah.
Look at let's tie this into EPL. Look at the bottom two in the EPL. They're a disgrace to football.
I mean, yeah, Sheffield has had one of the worst seasons I've seen
I've
since I
ever
started.
seen. They're
Yeah,
terrible.
and yet they're still
They are
somehow level.
terrible, dude. They are a minus 50. They've conceded 74 fucking goals, Kevin,
No,
in
that's brutal.
28 games.
Yeah,
What?
I like Syria going down to 18
I think
for
every league would be better by it. Because Serie A, especially when you look at 20th, bro, Salernitana is literally 10 points back from 19th, and then they're all close from there.
yeah. I mean, I would be interested to see what Italian fans think about it. I just I've always said on this podcast that I want to see less games. Lamine Yamal has played 2,000 minutes this season and he's 16.
Hmm.
I'm just, I know he's not playing in Italy, but look at Pedri. What is Lamine Yamal going to be like when he's 19, 20 even?
Hmm.
He's already going to be worn down physically. So, from that perspective, to keep our guys healthy that we love to watch and also, to protect assets for clubs, like I don't know. It's a smart move from Syria, especially when you consider that league is kind of, falling
Diluted.
away and we're seeing more of a big three between Prem, Bundesliga, and La Liga.
Yeah. Well, and they really need Inter to stamp their authority this year, like Bayern has over, or Juventus did a while ago. Juventus was not keeping Serie A relevant, but they were helping Serie A, especially in Europe. Bring eyes to your team. They need Inter to do that, but the Juventus played a really fun, interesting style, and this Inter team does, but they're known as like a fucking like they're just dogs because they are. But like they act like they're Haram and they're not. And by the way, La Liga 20th has 10 points, which we know is Almeria, who haven't won a game yet and should have. But 10 points. 19th has 14 points, and 18th at 22. So there's a small gap between these two at the bottom, and then a nice little jump at the to 18. So maybe 18 is the play for everybody. But what do you wean it off? Like you only relegate two teams into the league for 2 years, and then there you go.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you implement it. I didn't think that far ahead, but
Like,
thankfully,
would you just be like, all right, 16 through 20, you're gone. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of fucked.
yeah, yeah. I guess you would. You could. I mean, you could say, hey, next season we're gonna have a playoff, or something along those lines. Um,
I think there should be a playoff for relegation anyway.
yeah, I like that there is with the Bundesliga. Their system is they nailed
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there should be a playoff for European spots too. Like
What
for
between like
fourth,
fourth and
like
fifth?
fourth through eighth, fourth through seven, sorry. And like, all right, you play four plays seven, 2 game set, five plays six, 2 game set. Winner gets Champions League and or like you play a tournament for Champions League and whoever gets knocked out first gets conference and the other two get Europa and then the winner gets Champions League.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it would be wonderful because like you're taking the spotlight away from the big clubs and it gives these teams actually a reason to fight for. Um, and then I still think that you know the problem is you get in 10th place and you're comfortable for the season. Like Osasuna sitting in 10th place at 36 points, like they're very very comfortable. Like yeah, we're probably not going down. We got 10 games left. Like we're pretty solid here. So then they
yeah,
really have nothing to play for. I just want to
no,
give teams something to play for. You know what
I
I
agree
mean?
with you from that perspective. I just think like when I think to the Prem, there is a big gap between fourth and seventh, and there typically is. So like I don't know,
Yeah, but
you
give them a
run.
chance, bro. Like imagine like let's just say it's right now it's via Tottenham, Man United, and West Ham. Like imagine a playoff between those four teams. Like that would be fucking awesome.
It would be fun. I just think you take away from what
They
you
did for
know.
36 games,
Yeah,
38 games.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's a reason to push for the 38th game. And I don't know. I hate the whole top four thing. Like, oh, we got top four, cool. We're Champions League team. Like, so lame. And there's a huge disparity between usually points and stuff there at that point too.
Well, that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't know. I'm just trying to make the game more interesting, man. You know what I mean?
And I guess from your perspective, you're like, well, you weren't good enough to finish for third for the auto slot.
Exactly. To me, the first three are still autos. Like that would give you a reason to push for the auto slot, and it would give the team in third a reason to keep pushing because the team in third sometimes is already out of the title race, but they've solidified UCL. Maybe they don't want to drop into fourth and get into that title. And I'm just saying, you know, sometimes by week 30, no, that's a little early. Like sometimes by week 34, the season's pretty much already set. It can get that way. Like, all
Yeah,
right, like we already know essentially who's going down in every league except for one spot.
yeah. No, I know. We're getting to that time of the year where teams are, you know, essentially
Just
done.
like
Like,
we're comfortable. Yeah, we're
yeah,
comfortable. We're good. We're playing our domestic league football next year. It doesn't matter what we do for the rest of the year because we're not good enough for European spots. And then it would give those guys intent, like, bro, like imagine those the playoff and dude, Newcastle's 3 points off that seventh spot. Chelsea's 4 points off in 11th and 10th. They're gonna be like, okay, we gotta make the playoff. You know what I mean? I don't know. It
yeah.
just to me I don't know. Just trying to think of something that would make it interesting. And like I do think that 18 and 17 should play like a game for relegation.
No, I like that more than. I mean, I'm not.
Why not just go into the deep end with it? You know what I mean?
No, I
Like
know. I get
just
it.
have it all.
I
Just give,
get it.
you know what I'm saying? Because they do a playoff in the Belgium league. I don't know if you know that,
Yeah, I know.
which is dope, bro. I don't know if you ever watched it. It's really entertaining. And the German, the Belgium league is really fun to watch too. I turned on the Club Brugge game the other day, and I was like, dude, this shit's electric. It's just so back and forth. It's great. It's like fucking watching basketball, except with your feet, so it's way cooler.
Yeah, I just I don't know from another sport, that I do talk about on the podcast, college football. Like we talk about how we're expanding the playoff, and you just you have to be careful with what you take away from the regular season games, because then they kind of
Yeah,
become unimportant. Like in this scenario that we've brought up, the regular season games are still important, but you're still going to have a situation every now and again where fourth is pretty much locked up on an island, which that does happen. And then you have your fifth and sixth bracket, which are kind of separate from everyone else, and so on. Like year by year, it changes and it evolves. Where you're like, all right, fourth is clearly the best team out of the 4 through 7, or you know, it's 7, 8, 9 are all essentially the same team. They all have looked pretty much equal
I
the
just
whole
think it
season.
gives more to the regular season though. It puts more importance on every single point because teams stop getting comfortable.
No, and I get that, but
Like
then
Wolves is about as comfortable as you can get. Like they're probably not going to get a European spot, but they're cool. And
yeah,
like, why am I gonna like? So why am I gonna run my guys into the ground for what? You know what I mean? And then it kind of ruins the title race. Like let's just say, like I don't know if you know, but you'll watch a game and it should be a good game. You're like, oh man, dude, fucking City's got to play Wolves like third week of this, 3 weeks from that, like the end of the season. Like it's gonna be a good one. And then like Wolves don't even put up a fight because it's whatever to them. You know what I mean? Like yeah, they want to win, but like it's God bless you. Um, it's just it's over. You know what I mean? I
no,
don't
I
know. That's just the way I look at it. That's all.
I get it, I get it. But then you take a look at what actually happened, and you're like, the team that finished in fourth in the regular season gets nothing now if they ended up losing that playoff.
Yeah, well, they should have got fucking third.
I know. It's just
Well, in that circumstance, I think they should still get like at least. That's why I said like winner of said tournament gets Champions League. The second and third get Europa, and the fourth get conference. And to me, that's still quite fair.
yeah. I mean, it is different than getting nothing, I suppose.
Or maybe the
Since
last place gets nothing. Like I don't fucking know.
yeah, it would also depend on the coefficient for the league that year. It's
Any other
interesting.
talking points? Sorry, yeah, I didn't know if you were done or not. Anything else you would like to talk about?
I do not think so. It's kind of been a slow, like off the pitch week too. Even
Yeah, not much.
I know
Just
United. You,
all Gunnar Solskjaer running his mouth and Holland and Trent beefing and nothing important though.
I know United confirmed they're going to get a new left back this year or this summer.
Yo, actually, did you hear what's his name? Malacia, the left back for apparently he's in witness protection. That's a rumor.
Really?
In the Quincy Promise, yeah, in the Quincy Promise investigation.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
So, because like he hasn't been around for a while, and people are like, dude, what the fuck happened to this guy? Yeah, apparently he's in witness protection.
I did see that. Yeah, he hasn't even been on the bench in like 200 plus days.
Yeah, it's been weird. He hasn't tweeted. He hasn't done anything. Like people are like, last tweet, like it's been like 2 plus years. Last Instagram post, like the dude hasn't said or been around at all. And I actually liked him as a player, which is not like
Yeah,
not like I'm like, yo, this guy's gonna be a world beater, but I thought he was decent. Like I thought he might have a high ceiling. Like he could become something maybe.
yeah. No, that's that is fascinating. I don't think we've ever seen that before, and you'll never know. I guess like he
No.
can't play football if he is in witness protection.
Yeah, exactly. Like they can't just keep running him out to Manchester because he could get got real easily.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, that's why it's been a slow news week. That's taking some of the headlines.
Yeah, it really has been.
But I'm
But
cool with that.
Champions League back tomorrow.
Yes. Oh, we should probably mention that. Yeah. Who do you think goes through? That's easy enough. Just
I'm gonna
tomorrow
go with.
and it's 4 o'clock start for us, which is much better for me. So I'm happy about that. I'll be home.
I'll be walking into work at that time, but hey, um,
Yeah, my mom's getting knee surgery, so I need to watch the dogs. I'm quite okay with that because I want to really watch the Porto Arsenal game
I'm
And Napoli Barca tomorrow too.
yeah. I meant to ask you offline a question, but um, I think
It's
Arsenal
not
will.
appropriate for this.
It's not appropriate. We will expose ourselves. Anyways, I I'm gonna go with Arsenal. I don't see.
Ooh,
I wish I could go Porto, but this is my.
I'm just gonna say Porto because fuck it. I want them to win, so I'm saying Porto.
I'm just in a reasonable mood. I'm not feeling dastardly. I will say Napoli. I think Napoli will win. Just
Calzona makes them look pretty decent, and
yeah,
Barca's hurting right now for injuries. Like it's gonna be ugly.
yeah. Their midfield's going to be pretty wacky. Their midfield could hardly even be a mid-table team's midfield. Anyways, the Inter one's hard because they're only up 1-0. You watch the first leg and you're like you felt Inter dominated. At least I did. I'm gonna go
But
Inter.
Atleti managed the game. Inter
Yeah,
dominated, but Atletico managed the game, which is all they
they,
wanted to do.
they did, which is crazy. I will say Inter. They've been lights out, dude. They've been lights
They
out.
13 unbeaten. No, 13 win streak, 14 unbeaten. Sorry.
And then finally, I will go
It's close
Dortmund.
too, man.
Dortmund
Yeah, I
should
feel like you
win.
got to go Dortmund. Yeah, at home, you hope they win, especially against PSV. PSV.
I mean, PSV would probably finish like eighth in the Bundesliga. It's not like they're bad.
I'll take a look at the Bundesliga table and I'll let you know in a sec. Um,
They'd comfortably be mid-table.
I think they'd probably this year. I think they'd probably be seventh, but yeah, pretty spot on. That's because Mönchengladbach, Wolfsburg, and Union Berlin, who have all historically been much better sides than this, have are literally fighting relegation. So yeah.
Who do you have in the Atletico Inter?
So in the pool, I have Inter. Um, but dude, Atletico has to win. Like they have to win. They have to, or their season's over. Like Inter still are fighting for a league, which they've pretty much put to bed already. But at least they have that to. So I think Inter's going to win, but I'll go with Atletico because I think they're going to have a lot of fight in them. But I do think Inter need to go deep for footballing reasons. I think they're one of the better. I think if we got a Bayern, City, Inter, Real Madrid Final Four. I think those are the best four teams in the world right now in the Champions League. Because, we can talk about Liverpool and Leverkusen, whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, I want a Liverpool Leverkusen final, though, for Europa. That'd be great, too. But yeah,
No, yeah, I agree. That's the best possible outcome for the quality
yeah.
potential games.
You could maybe throw Arsenal in there, but I just. Dude, they got worked by Porto. We'll see how it goes at the Emirates. It's going to be really interesting. I could be looking like a clown right now, but I like Porto. I really do. I think they have the balls to go to the Emirates and they're not going to be scared. They're gonna grab the game by the balls. They're probably going to sit a little deeper, and they have the quality throughout the squad to actually do damage. Um, and just like I said with Atletico, I think they managed the game. I think Arsenal intended to manage the game but didn't manage it,
Yeah,
which is actually what Arsenal's really good at, which is kind of crazy. They're the best side in the world at managing the game right now. Um, which doesn't make you a good side though. It just makes you good at like it makes you good in a league. It doesn't make you good in a knockout competition.
yeah, for sure. Just a reminder, they produced point 0.4 xG in the first tie. Like the
Yeah.
momentum bar's in their favor, but In
They're
terms
just
of
passing the ball around.
yeah, in terms of the momentum, there's not any sharp spikes. I mean, there's a few, but it's not like City where you'll see just like they've
Yeah,
completely
it's like a
maxed it
fucking
out.
mountain. Yeah, it's like a mountain. Just like the fucking Himalayas in cities attacking bar.
Yeah.
Anything else, Kev?
No, sir.
All right, well, thank you all for listening. Go follow us on socials. I know we really haven't been active on those, but we need to be. We'll get there, I promise. Thank you all for listening to the Footy Philosophy Podcast, and go share with some friends if they like football.